Imagine this. A respected black judge, dressed in his professional robe, is pulled over on a quiet street late at night. He's calm, polite, and cooperative, but the officer, a young and arrogant cop, seems to have a different agenda. With a sneer on his face and an attitude full of prejudice, the officer belittles the judge, making unfair assumptions and throwing around his authority like a weapon. The judge, used to standing firm in the face of injustice, stays composed, but the tension in the air is undeniable. What the officer doesn't know, however, is that karma has a way of showing up when you least expect it. Just when it seems like the cop's unchecked bias might go unpunished, the situation takes a turn that no one saw coming. Stay tuned, because this is one story where justice gets served in the most unexpected way. The officer leans closer to the window, his tone sharp and his words laced with sarcasm. License and registration, he demands, not even glancing at the documents when the judge hands them over. Instead, the officer's eyes linger on the judge's face, scanning him with an air of disdain. "What are you doing out here at this hour?" he sneers, as if the very sight of the judge is suspicious. The judge, calm but firm, responds, "I'm on my way home from court. Is there a problem, officer?" His voice is measured, but there's a quiet authority in it that makes the officer pause, just for a moment, before doubling down. "Don't get smart with me," the officer snaps, clearly enjoying the power imbalance. But little does he know, the man sitting before him is no ordinary citizen, and soon the choices he's making will come back to haunt him. The officer steps back from the car, his hand resting on his belt, trying to assert dominance. He radios in, but the tone of his call is exaggerated, painting the judge as someone suspicious and potentially dangerous. The judge remains silent, his years on the bench teaching him the power of patience. But inside, he feels the familiar sting of injustice. He's spent a lifetime fighting discrimination in the courtroom, yet here he is, reduced to a stereotype of someone sworn to uphold the law. Meanwhile, a small crowd starts to gather at a distance, curious about the commotion. A young woman, filming the scene discreetly with her phone, whispers to her friend, "Something's not right." That man looks familiar. She doesn't know yet, but her video will play a crucial role later. The officer, oblivious to who he's dealing with, escalates his tone. He's about to make a choice that will change everything. The officer orders the judge to step out of the car, his tone growing harsher with each word. The judge complies, moving slowly and deliberately, knowing the weight of every action he takes. As he stands under the streetlight, his stature and calm demeanor seem to challenge the officer's authority without a single word. The officer, visibly agitated, begins to search the car without permission, tossing papers and personal items aside as if determined to find something incriminating. The crowd nearby grows larger, whispers spreading among them. The young woman with the phone steps closer, her camera capturing every moment. Someone murmurs, "That's Judge Carter. He's a good man. What's going on here?" The officer seems to sense the growing attention but presses on, his ego driving him further. "Stay back," he barks at the bystanders. But as he turns back to the judge, a faint smirk crosses the judge's face. It's the kind of expression that suggests the tables are about to turn, and the officer has no idea what's coming. The tension in the air is electric, and everyone can feel it. Something big is about to happen. Just as the officer seems to feel fully in control, another police car pulls up, its lights flashing. A senior officer steps out, his expression serious as he scans the scene. The tension thickens as the crowd grows silent, sensing a shift in the air. The senior officer approaches, his eyes narrowing when he recognizes the man standing calmly beside the car. "Judge Carter," he asks, his voice filled with both surprise and concern. The young officer freezes, his confidence cracking for the first time. He glances at the judge, then back at his superior. "Wait, Judge," he stammers, his tone losing its edge. But before he can fully grasp the gravity of the situation, the senior officer's stern gaze lands on him. "We'll talk later," the senior officer says firmly before turning to the judge, "Your Honor, I apologize for this misunderstanding." But Judge Carter doesn't respond immediately. Instead, he looks at the young officer, a quiet intensity in his eyes, as if deciding how to proceed. The crowd murmurs, the tension mounting again. Just when it feels like the situation might diffuse, the judge finally speaks, his words poised to change the course of the night entirely. Judge Carter straightens, his voice calm but firm, as he finally addresses the young officer. "You've made assumptions about me tonight," he begins, his words measured, "and those assumptions led you to overstep your authority." The officer shifts uncomfortably, the weight of his actions beginning to sink in. The senior officer stands silently, his expression grim as he waits for the judge to continue. "You searched my car without cause, humiliated me in front of witnesses, and disrespected the very law you're sworn to uphold," Judge Carter says, his voice rising slightly. The crowd, now recording every word, listens intently. Then, with a calm precision, the judge reaches into his pocket and pulls out his phone. "Unfortunately," he adds, holding it up, "I've recorded everything." The young officer's face turns pale as the realization dawns on him. The senior officer quickly steps in, apologizing again and promising immediate disciplinary action. But just as the tension seems to ease, Judge Carter delivers one final twist. "I'll be seeing you in court," he says, locking eyes with the officer. "Not as a judge, but as a plaintiff. It's time for you to learn what justice truly means." The crowd erupts into applause, their phones capturing the moment as the officer is left speechless. For the young cop, karma has arrived in the form of a lesson he'll never forget. In the days that followed, the incident became a topic of conversation across the community. The video recorded by bystanders went viral, sparking discussions about accountability and fairness in law enforcement. Judge Carter, true to his word, filed a formal complaint and pursued legal action, not out of spite, but to ensure such behavior would not go unchecked. The young officer faced disciplinary measures and was ordered to attend extensive training on bias and proper conduct. Meanwhile, the senior officer reached out personally to the judge, working to repair the damage and restore trust between the community and the department. For Judge Carter, the experience was a reminder of the ongoing struggle for justice, even for those in positions of authority. But it also showed the power of standing firm and holding people accountable. As he returned to his courtroom, he carried with him the hope that change, however slow, was still possible.